all my equipment's taken care of. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah.
And my team sergeant goes, take that 50 cal and go find a roof and get some Overwatch. It's like, what the take the what?
Just strap it on.
Are you kidding me? And he's not talking about the sniper rifle, the Barrett 50 cal.
Okay.
He's talking about a 50 cal machine gun.
Welcome to the FNG podcast, where we have a Green Beret who trains the FNG with
Buck, the Green Beret.
And KDH. Yes, I am the FNG. Buck, how we doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Got a little thing going on with my back right now, but I will. I'm fighting through it right now, so we'll continue to press on. But I want to talk a little bit today, just about the power, and maybe even the importance of fear and where fear comes in. Because I watch you guys. I see the videos. I've seen some movies and stuff like that, and I'm like, how does fear just not grip you and stop you from taking action? And I'm sure that we're going to talk about training in all these different areas, but I just continue to be amazed with it. So let's talk about the power of fear in combat and being out there and training at FNG, how we can start learning how to deal with this in a more effective way.
Absolutely. I think fear is just super important. I think it's something that you learn when you go to selection, and you learn throughout training for any special operations programs, is that you just start to get comfortable with it. You realize that when you start feeling that fear, that you're on the cusp of something good. And unfortunately, it never gets easier to deal with. You just start to recognize that it's something positive. And it's still horrible. It still feels like crap. It still makes you want to run away. It still makes you want to give up. But once you've repeated that cycle enough times to where you're seeing that fear, success follows fear, and then you get the fear, then you get the success, then you get the fear. You start to see that repetitiveness, and all of a sudden you connect the dots, and you're like, okay, I've had enough successes to know that fear is just part of it, and it's the catalyst to the success.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's definitely part of it that some fears that you have early on, later on you kind of look back and you go, why was I afraid of that?
Yep.
Give us an example of something like that where, maybe early on you're like almost, stuck in your boots, and then later on you go, dude, this is everyday life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that first day of selection. So showing up, or the day before, or on your way to selection, it's like you're so terrified because in your head you've built this group of men that you're competing against, and they're just like superhuman. So in your head you put all these like 6 foot tall, yoked, super fast guys that it's like they all want to beat you to get that spot. And so the fear builds as you like create this imaginary obstacle, every day, and it just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So by the time you leave, you're like, I am way out of my league.
Yeah.
You're out of your element, Donnie. Like that's, and but then you get there and it's like, wait a minute, these are normal guys. There's smaller guys than me. There is that 6 foot, square jawed guy there, but there's also a 5 foot tall, skinny guy there.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, we're all in the same boat here. Like these are just a bunch of dudes trying to better themselves and get after it in a different kind of way.
Well, tell me a story, though. I want to hear a story about, and it can either be a fear that you saw, or maybe it was one of the guys you're training alongside that you thought was going to stop you in your tracks, and then you persisted. You got through it, and then on the other side, you're like, man, damn, that was worth it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, even jumping out of a plane, I can't imagine just jumping out of a plane. So
jumping out of a plane is a good example of getting over your fear, because that's something that the first time you do it, it's you can't get ready for that. You know what I mean? Like, and you just have to do it. And so that's a good example. Man, there's so many with fear. It's just such a repetitive thing now. I've kind of grown to appreciate it. But, one example in selection, I'll never forget this story, is this buddy of mine. I really liked him. He's a good guy. I caught him the night before. You finish all your events, you get ready for the next day, you actually get to sleep in selection. So the sleep deprivation doesn't come until later on in training.
Okay.
But he's staring out the window and he's just got this like blank stare on his face. And it's raining outside and he's just staring at it and just into space. And I was like, oh, this isn't good.
Uh-oh.
So I went up to him and I was like, hey, man, what's up, dude? Are you okay? And he's like, yeah, man. If it's raining tomorrow, I quit. And I was like, what?
He's afraid of the rain? What?
I don't know. I could just tell that he was just like
Looking
done.
for an out.
And he's looking for an out. And then
Yeah.
the fear was like, it was overwhelming him because he had made it through the day.
Yeah.
Right. And that was always like something I picked up in that environment. I was like, people don't quit so much. I mean, they do, but not so much in the moment. Right. When it's like, take next step.
Yep.
They make it to the end of the day. It's the fear of the next day that starts to really wane in on them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you'll be fine, man. Because to me, I was like, he gave himself an out, but that out isn't until tomorrow. So he's going to sleep on it. He's going to get over it. And because we all do that stuff.
Yeah.
There's been so many times where I'm like, if it doesn't stop raining this freezing cold water on me, like I'm walking away.
Yeah.
And then somehow the sun starts shining and you get through it.
Well, I'll tell you, in business, there are certain principles that just work, and there's no doubt that fear in business is a part of the process. Especially when you're doing something you're totally unaware of. If your first entrepreneurial venture that you do, there's a level of fear. And I was so fortunate that I was trained by now a good friend of mine. His name is Jim Penn, and Jim Penn he coined the phrase for us. And for us, it was we get paid to prospect. And prospecting means going out and making contacts, finding new clients, like going out there. And you know what? That is the number one fear that most people going into business have. Where am I going to find a client? How am I going to talk to them? What am I going to say? All of those fears. And what you find is that fears begin to dissipate as skill level increases.
Yeah.
And as you have experience. I mean, I've never jumped out of a plane, but I can only imagine the training that happens up till that point and then the moment you're there. I want to put you on the spot a little bit, though.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe this wasn't a fear, but this would definitely be a fear of mine. You've gone through all this amazing training.
Mm-hmm.
You are selected. You're wearing the beret. You are it. You are the shit. And then you get shipped overseas.
Yeah.
And your first time, the first day, and there's a level of excitement, I'm sure, because you're like, I've been training, I've been preparing for this. But there's also got to be another level of going, wait, and this is totally the F&G talking right here, going, yeah, but wait, I mean, it's all been, paper targets and, right. I mean, but now it's the real thing. It's me against the bad guy in the wrong color jersey. Tell me that story of going into combat for the first time.
Yeah, have we talked about this before? Did you know that was a horrible experience for me?
No.
Oh, interesting.
Here we go.
So, yeah, you're right. There's a certain level of excitement, and I was looking forward to war. I felt 100% prepared. I couldn't wait. So actually, I take that back. It was the second experience. My first experience, it went according to plan. They were taking contact. We went up to support a sister team who was, knee deep in the gunfight, and then they told us where it was going, where the enemy was at, and I just started unloading. It felt so good to get that rifle off and start, playing the game for real.
Yeah.
That felt amazing. But that put me at this crazy high.
Yeah.
And then we went in and it was our turn to get in it. And so I'm like, oh, I've done it before.
Yeah.
I've shot once. I know. So I'm starting to get that new guy rust knocked off. And right out the gate, here I am. I'm like super happy. I'm going to go run and gun. I got, my stuff's all squared away. All my equipment's taken care of. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah.
And my team sergeant goes, take that 50 cal and go find a roof and get some Overwatch. It's like, what the take the what?
Just strap it on.
Are you kidding me? And he's not talking about the sniper rifle, the Barrett 50 cal.
Okay.
He's talking about a 50 cal machine gun.
Yeah.
So that means you got the tripod, the extra barrels, you got fucking tons of ammo.
Yeah.
So it was me and my buddy, and then we had I think it was 5 special operations Afghanis.
Okay.
And they all look at us like, you want to take the what? And I was like, I don't fucking know, guys. I don't have a choice in this. I just got told we have to take this. So you just took everyone out of the fight with this one decision. So all of a sudden we're about to go run and gun. Now I'm carrying barrels, 1 barrel per hand, so I don't have a shooting hand. I can't even manipulate my weapon without throwing these barrels on the ground. Each commando is carrying ammunition, boxes of ammo for the 50 cal, which is heavy as shit. Yeah. One guy's got 2 hands on the tripod. So literally with one decision, he took all of us out of the fight. And now we're running across open fields, taking contact.
Yeah.
And none of us could shoot back.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a horrible, horrible, horrible experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, war sucks.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
This is terrible. And, and it just continued to get worse. When you make a decision like that, your partner force immediately loses their confidence in you. Mm-hmm. And they're like, these guys are supposed to be the subject matter experts, and they're making stupid decisions like this. So they flat out, we got to a building, and they flat out refused to pick up any more of the stuff. They're like, nope, we're not carrying that shit. Matter of fact, we're not even going with you guys anymore. And we had to convince them to stay with us. They were about to just go off on their own and leave, and it would have been me and my other teammate.
Wow.
So yeah, that was. So I would say that was like my real first war experience, and it was horrible. It was a horrible experience. It was the thing about being in a bad spot in a war zone like that is like you know when you're at a disadvantage, and you have this like spidey sense that tingles and it goes up your spine, and you feel really, really vulnerable, and you just know you're in a really bad spot. But a bad spot in that environment goes to hell really quick.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, because now we're talking life and death situation.
Right.
I mean, this is, no room for error, and you've got to figure it out like we talked about last time in that time. And coming out of that experience, training definitely helps to mitigate fear, but, you still have the pregame jitters or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
How did you, moving forward, as you had different ops, and, you get more and more experience, how were you able to turn those, maybe you relabeled it from, as fear to I just got, pregame jitters or, butterflies or whatever, to going, now that just means I'm ready to take action. Like, how were you able to do that mentally? Was there something they taught you to do or something you did on your own? Or,
to be honest, it's like now I have a system and I know when I'm ready, and I know the level of the difference between fear and panic. And panic is that danger zone that if you are in that panic mode, then you fail to train, you fail to make contingency plans, you fail to prepare, and there's a lot of things that you fail to do, and that's why you're in that panic mode, and that's when things go really south. But now it's like I understand that fear and how that's part of the process. But as far as war goes, when you're in war, like I said, when you're in a good spot, it's all confidence and it's all excitement, and and you're the alpha. Mm-hmm. You're the lion, and you're going after those sheep out there. But then that's the thing about war is that coin gets flipped immediately.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're the lions, and you're in a really bad spot. And I almost got shot multiple times, when that coin flipped, and I became in a horrible spot. So I would just separate, war from like you would, your experience with business or with what we're dealing with now, in this environment, because in war, it's like, when you're the lion and when you're the sheep, and you will not be one or the other the entire time. You will have your experience being both, and being the sheep sucks.
Well, so as you're starting to feel, the register meter start going toward the panic, let's say once you cross 8, you start moving to the panic zone, 9 and 10 panic zone. What are some things that you would be able to do to calm yourself back down, to get yourself back? Because, there is a good, healthy level of fear that you can have that get you ready, get you focused. But panic, your vision gets blurred, it's hard to make good decisions there. So what were some things that you were able to do, maybe to slow your heart rate down or to get yourself calm back down, that you go, okay, focus,
Yeah.
Get your shit together, focus right now. Or maybe even talking to someone else on your team during that time.
Yeah, so for me, it was when those moments hit, it's just like you have to start thinking about the guys around you. And that's what got me through it. So, for one instance, it was like I was sitting in the truck. There's like 3 gunfights going on at the same time. My buddy Jerry's in it, and Tony. And they're off in one. And then, we got, I think, what was it? Was it Tom? Anyway, and then so I got 2 other teammates in a gunfight somewhere else. I'm shooting into a tree line from the vehicle because we have no idea. I have no idea where exactly the guys are at, but I know that they're coming from that tree line. So, this isn't the States. It's like no one suspected likely. And that's where you shoot. You either know where they're at, you suspect where they're at, or you shoot in the likely position, which sounds crazy coming from law enforcement to say, but that works over there.
Especially in today's day.
Yeah. So, and then I get the call. It's like, hey, Buck, grab 2 AT4s and go meet, your teammates and help them out because they're getting pinned down. And it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm in a relatively good spot where I'm at.
Yeah.
And you so quickly like latch on to that little bit of comfort
because you have so much cover and everything
else.
Okay.
Yeah. I was in an armored vehicle. I mean, my door was open and I was shooting from it.
Yeah.
But that's a hell of a lot better spot than I was about to be. And I was about to be running by myself.
Totally exposed,
looking for my teammates. I don't even know where they're at.
Oh my gosh.
So I grabbed 2 AT4s and I just start running around. And then all of a sudden I hear my buddy Jerry like calling, hey, we're in here. And he's up on the roof in one of the buildings. I'm still outside of the buildings in the danger zone, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to find where they're at. And so I find 2 of my buddies. I flinch like all hell shooting the AT4 because they told me where the guy was coming from the building. And the AT4 just, I hesitate and I flinch and the round bounces off the ground and it was a complete waste.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got one more, dude. I won't do that again, I promise. And they're like, and then my buddy Jerry's like, no, I need you over here. So then I run back to that building.
Okay.
And then Jerry's pointing out, hey, tiny room, launched the next AD4, swore I wasn't going to flinch. The whole room comes caving in with clouds of dust and poop and dried up crap. It was, and I can't see anything. I'm breathing it. You're not supposed to fire AT4s in that small environment. Sorry, I got on a tangent there.
Yeah. But there's no doubt that your training comes in, but there's also some mental components that you walk yourself through to be able to calm yourself in those moments. Looking at your teammates.
There you go. That's where I was going with it.
Yeah, good.
I knew I had a.
You had a point there.
I had a point there somewhere.
Yeah, it jumped off the page. And bring it back.
But the point was for my teammates, for my friends. It's all worth it. I'll get to you. I'll find you. I'll run through the open space if that's what I got to do to get to you guys. And that's what got me through, at least in that instance, is they needed me. And what else are you gonna do? You gonna sit in the car or in the armored vehicle and be like, "Oh, sorry guys, I can't.
Right.
I can't come help you because I'm in a relatively good spot and I want to keep that."
Was that something you brought to selection? Was that some part of your background that you always had a group of boys that you were used to having each other's back? Or was that something that was trained and you learned once you became active duty? I mean, how was that for you? So
for me, I kind of contribute growing up rough to that.
Okay.
It's like when you grow up, without a dad and you grow up, just pretty in a rough environment, you seek out that brotherhood and you seek out male connection in a way that most people probably don't need. So it's like to you, and I know you grew up in a similar way, and I feel like for us, letting someone down, letting another male counterpart down is far, far more terrifying and painful experience than someone who grew up with the adoration of their father and, with healthy male relationships in their life. And I'm not saying that's unhealthy. I'm just saying that's from the unhealthy grew this need to just not let the guys in your life down, and that's something that just got stronger as you get added to these types of brotherhoods. It's like the last thing, I mean, we'd be out drinking as a team, and I'll never forget my buddy, there was an attached guy, and he said something to my Delta, our medic, that was disrespectful, and I lost it on him. And he almost started crying. I mean, he was like shook, and I was about to hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is just like, that's our way of like, we'll defend our people to the end, no matter what.
So in dealing with the power of fear, I mean, one, we talked about fear can definitely be a powerful thing for us to use if we learn how to harness it and use it right. Training definitely helps to mitigate, not maybe mitigate fear, but teaches us how to really use the fear, get us out of the panic zone.
Get comfortable with it.
That's a great way of putting it. And then I think the other thing that you just shared there was really the power of the team and understanding that you're not there alone.
Right.
And it's so true, man. I love what you said, is that many times we will do so much more for our brothers than we would do just for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And understanding one of the things that'll get us out of the comfort zone, get us out of the armored vehicle, will be to go help our brother.
Yep.
And man, that is incredibly, incredibly powerful. So any last words on this subject here?
Nope. I mean, we got to hit it one day from your perspective. I want to hear it from the business side, but I think that's, I just think that's so much, it's almost more powerful, right? Because it's not so much fear that's just being shoved down your throat, and you have more control over that fear. So at any point from the business side, it seems like you could just say, why am I doing this? And then stop, which I imagine stunts growth tremendously for a lot of people.
Well, I'll talk about it right now. So I think one of the biggest challenges that, people have in business, one, it's so romanticized. Kind of like being a special ops, it's so romanticized. Yeah. Man, look, here I am. I'm a Green Beret. I'm a Delta. I'm a SEAL, and they get to hear all the stories afterward.
Right.
But here I have this great successful business. Everybody wants to hear that, but they don't want to hear all the stuff that when you're dying on the vine and you're wondering, can I do it? I look back on my business, Gretchen and I's business over the years, and we were probably, man, I don't know, first year, second year in business. And so we got started in 1999, so to give you a little perspective. It is second year, and we're struggling, and we feel like we're doing everything we can to grow our business, to, keep our income, and we have no other sources of income. This is it. We burned all of our ships, and here we are in business getting after it. And I'll never forget, we're sitting outside a grocery store in our little Jeep Wrangler that we had at the time. And I'm like, man, in my mind, she has no idea. I'm like, I got to protect her, and I'm not telling her what's going on. But we're going to get groceries, and I know there's zero money in our account, none. Okay, and we got paid the way the accounts got paid out was like once a week or something like that. So I knew we were going to have to flow some stuff, and we're sitting there, and she's in the Jeep, and she starts crying, And I just remember that moment right there created a resolve in me like never before. And it's like, you won't even know what these are, okay? But back in the day, like right now, you can download on your iPhone, and then you had MP3s. So way back in the day, there used to be these little discs were called CDs, okay? And
come on, man. Come on.
So
I think it was like an 8-track.
I could go back to 8-tracks too. But I had this collection of CDs, and there used to be stores that you could go and sell your old CDs. And like for $1 or something like that. So I took a whole bunch of these. I think I don't know, I got like $47 or whatever. So we were able to get food for that week. And I just remember looking at her and going, I will never let this happen again. But there was the fear that I experienced during that moment was going, wait, I convinced this girl to marry me. Okay. And part of that was I now have responsibility financially to take care of her.
Right.
And, there's a ton of crazy things that are going on, during this season of my life. I mean, my grandmother's sick, and I'm taking care of her. So we're actually paying all of her stuff before we're paying for our stuff. But I just remember that fear got me more focused than ever before. And I guess it was kind of the team, because it was Gretchen and I and my grandmother. But I wasn't really thinking about, I was thinking I got to do whatever I can. And, incredibly blessed. And I'll tell you, just, from our perspective, that year we moved our income from right at 50,000 a year to over 100,000 a year, by me harnessing that fear. And you know what? I didn't sleep. There was a lot of things I said no to during that time period, but during that time period, my skills got better. My confidence got stronger, and it allowed me to continue to push forward. And I think just like the training that you went through and continue to go through, that once you're able to look back on those skills, I look back now and I'm like, seriously, it was $50, it was meals,
Yeah.
But at that moment, it was everything in the world to me.
Absolutely.
And so, man, I think learning to harness the power of fear and understanding that the death of fear is certain. Fear will die. It's an imposter.
Right.
Most fears, what do they say, is false evidence appearing real. Okay. Yes, but it's just a chemical reaction happening in our body that once we learn how to harness that, it really just means we're prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you another silly example. I have a 13-year-old son, plays football, and he would talk about getting nervous before a game. And I programmed Jacob to be able to go, hey, Jacob, that's not nervous. That's not fear. That just means you're ready. The same energy that you put in this box to say, I'm scared, I'm fearful, it's the same energy to go, I'm ready to attack. I just need to relabel it for him. And I think that's one of the things that happened through selection and everything else for you as well. Somehow you learned how to relabel those fears and take action with your brothers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's an awesome story. And I think I could feel that pain that you were thinking, talking about
20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Dude.
Because that's your family, right?
Yeah.
And to have her, she's on your back and you have to take care of her. And that's the same exact situation when, my boys overseas, they're waiting for me to get those AT4s there, even though I wasted them. They're on my back. And if someone's on your back, then you got to do what you got to do. And you can't let the fear hold you back and knock you down or because I have seen, it's easy for us to just sit here and talk about it. It's like, yeah, we push, but we're pushers, you know what I mean? And we're going to break through that. But I have seen people succumb to that fear. That first story in selection, it was raining the next morning. I woke up the next morning, that guy's bunk was empty.
Wow. So he tapped out.
He took that fear and he hit that wall, and instead of pushing through that wall, he succumbed to it. And I've been in gunfights where guys are just laying down, hoping, that other people will get them out of it. They just succumb to the fear. And it's hard because after the fact, they have to live with that. You don't have to live with the fact that you didn't have the money for those groceries because you said no more and you owned it and you pushed through that. But if you succumb to that, you could have had years and years of feeling sorry for yourself and having Gretchen look at you wondering why she picked someone that couldn't provide for her and how she could have fell in love with someone that appeared strong but is in reality is weak. So, for us to sit here and talk about, we can go through all the stories, but there's people out there that need to hear this and realize, like, if you give into it on the smaller occasions, you'll give into it on the bigger occasions. So if you're giving into those little bits of fear because, you think that no one's noticing, well, you're just creating those habits and you're gonna have to live with that. You're the one that's gonna have to think about that when you're drinking beers and you don't get the good that comes from overcoming the fear, and that's 20 years later sitting back and being proud that was such a blip in your radar onto future success.
Yeah. Well, and I can only imagine, the beers after the battle and the stories that you get to tell. And you could have just been the dude sitting in the corner who didn't engage.
Yeah.
He's in there too, but he's not part of the team.
Right.
And that you'll never outlive.
No, you gotta take that to your grave with you.
The pain of change will last for a moment. The pain of regret will last for a lifetime.
Absolutely.
So, man, with that, I tell you what, hey, follow us with the F&G project that is going on. Super excited. We got a ton of fun ideas that we're going to be coming up with, and we want to serve this community and really meet the needs, and also give a voice, to those that are out there, in the selection process that are in active duty, as well as those who are veterans and have served our country faithfully. So we thank you guys. We appreciate you, and we are out.